welcome to Croydon Vision's Facebook Live event. I hope you enjoyed last week. Last week we were with Marsha and she showed us how to transform egg boxes into flowers and decoration. So I hope you enjoyed that one. And today I have with me, I have Rita and I have Fabiana from the Development Educational Trust, and they're going to talk about that. And before I forget, next week we're going to go live to Shalini's home and she's going to show us how to make a fish curry. So that's very exciting as well. So do join in, send your comments, your questions, and share it with everybody. So Rita and Fabiana, welcome to our Facebook Live event.
Thank you for having us.
And maybe if you want to introduce yourselves a bit, let people know about the Trust, what the Trust does, and then we'll talk about what you're doing with our members.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So thank you very much for having me. So my name's Rita. I actually live in Croydon as well, and I'm a manager on the Making a Difference programme for Education Development Trust. And what we do is we basically offer support to help you get back into employment. And Fabiana here is one of my employment coaches, so she'll talk to you a bit more about what that looks like on a day-to-day basis.
And Rita, maybe people have never heard about this trust. Is it a trust just in Croydon, or?
No, actually it's a really good question. So Education Development Trust is actually an international charity.
Oh, wow.
We have a presence all over the world, primarily within the UK, and the organisation is very embedded in offering careers advice. So they run the National Careers Service in a lot of the country,
right.
And also working within schools, offering the careers advisory services within schools, and programmes like ours, Making a Difference, where we deliver employability support.
And do you, as well as sort of giving advice to sort of future candidates, do you actually develop also links with potential employers? Because that's the other side of the coin,
Yes,
isn't it?
we do. Yes, we definitely do. So we work very closely with employers to create opportunities for our participants. And that can be in a variety of ways. It can be employer information events. So for example, this morning we had an event with the Metropolitan Police. We've also had an event with you, Odette, haven't we?
Yes, last month, yes. Yes.
So yeah, we invite employers to come in and talk about their organisations and what sorts of roles they have and how you apply for those roles. We also organise work experience placements, mock interviews, as well as access to actual real life jobs.
Oh, fantastic.
And as we come out of, this current weird situation that we're in,
yes.
I've already got a couple of employers in Croydon who have offered to do employee visits where we can take a group of our participants on site to have a look around the organisation.
And one thing I must say is this is something fairly new that we learned at the last event we did together, is that access to work, so this is DWP, will actually give support for people who are doing work experiences and apprenticeships. I think before they would only give the support if you were employed, if you were like a full-time job. And which is really nice to know that now they give support. So you might need, for example, a taxi to go because you might not have learned the route to go to an employer. You might need special equipment, you might need some support. So there is now support from Access to Work if you're doing an apprenticeship or work experience. Not for volunteering though.
Not for volunteering.
No.
My understanding is not for volunteering at the moment. And a very good point there. And the other lovely thing with an organisation like ours and with our programme is that we have built some really close links with the DWP, and we can enable you to get the information you need to access those funds through to work also. The other thing actually I'll mention as part of our programme regarding, you know, if anyone's challenged to get to interviews, that we do have access to a flexible fund. So
Right.
people that are on our programme have the ability to access that fund, for example, for the cost to attend an interview,
Very
interview
good.
clothes,
Oh,
childcare,
that
all
is
of those
good.
types
That
of
is
things. So, you know,
fantastic.
something to bear in mind.
Yes, because it's true that when you go to, if you haven't been working for a long time, if you haven't got a lot of money as well, it's, you know, clothes for an interview, or even, you know, to get yourself looking really good, you know, might cost actually a lot of money.
Yeah, and it really boosts your confidence, just
Yes.
having that new outfit for an interview.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're very fortunate that we have been allocated a fund
Oh,
that
that
our
is really good.
participants can access.
And you know, this is something for blind people that is really important, because you might, I mean, for example, I don't see myself in the mirror. So if I wanted to put lipstick, or if I wanted to know how my hair is, I have to go and ask my husband. I just don't see my face in the mirror anymore. So, and sometimes you don't know if you have a spot, or if you have, you know, some things are very visual. That you need to know, or maybe you don't know if your clothes are out of date. You know, because there is although we're not too fashion led, there is, your clothes say a lot about you. If you're out there, if you're fashionable, or if you look very dated, it shows.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, that's the lovely thing with us all working so closely together,
Yeah.
is that we can support with that. You know, part of Fabiana's role is to offer that really tailored one-to-one support.
So we're going to ask Fabiana.
Yes.
Fabiana, I think what would be really nice is that a lot of people might never had the experience of being supported by a work coach. So maybe if you can explain, what does a work coach do? You know, what can people expect?
Yes, absolutely. So that's an interesting thing, because I would say that an employment coach is a person accompanying the participant towards an interesting journey of change. Because, you know, change is the only constant in life, we would say.
Yes, we know it this year.
Yes. So I think that the first thing that a person can expect when coming into the program is definitely to learn something about themselves that maybe they didn't know. And by learning this something, discovering that actually they have the potential of doing things, even though maybe they thought that they couldn't. But actually, what I'm seeing with my participants is that some of them, for example, after a session, they say, oh wow, I didn't know that, but actually I can't do that. So let's say if we want to start from the beginning, what would be an ideal, let's say at the start of the journey, it's just the registration, you know, so because we have to understand the details of the person, we have to make sure that the person can actually join our program. And when the registration is done, which is the more bureaucratical part, let's say, we can crack on with our journey.
So for now in Croydon, for example, you're supporting somebody who lives in Croydon,
Yes.
somebody who can legally work in the UK.
Exactly.
What else was there?
So
Somebody who doesn't work, somebody who's not working now.
Exactly. So the conditions are we can support people who are 18-year-old plus with no age limit.
Okay, that's good.
The condition is that they have to be unemployed or inactive, so people who are not working or maybe haven't been looking for work for a while. They need to be based in Croydon, and when we say Croydon, it's not necessarily CR postcode, it could also be some SE, but the condition is there needs to be Croydon Borough.
Croydon Borough.
Yes. And then of course the person needs to be legally permitted to work in the UK. So these are the only conditions, and then they are very welcome to come to us and to start this journey of change with us.
Good.
So what would happen during this journey? We start with what we call the Outcome Star Appointment, which is a coaching tool we use to understand and to help the participant understand their current situation, so where they are starting from and where they want to be tomorrow.
So I want to maybe explain. So if you imagine a star, how many branches does your star have, more or less?
The star, so we use two different type of star.
Yeah.
The star that we use the most is the work star, and this star has 7 branches.
So if you imagine a star with 7 points going out from the middle,
Yeah.
and what number would the middle be?
No, actually, maybe in the middle there is no numbers.
No number. And it's how far or close you are to the middle. So you have this rating, don't you?
So you have 10 numbers for each
Yeah.
branches. You can rate yourself from 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
But actually, that doesn't mean that 10 is great and 1 is nothing. It's just important that the person is really, really honest about they think they are, because
Yeah.
if they are honest, we can really tailor the program in the
Right.
most effective way for them.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop you there, Fabiana.
Yeah.
What are those 5 branches?
The 7 branches are job skills and experience, aspiration and motivation, job search skills, stability. Oh wow, I'm remembering them. So basic skills.
I'm putting you on the spot there. But it's just to give an idea. So,
Yeah.
so basically what you're doing, you're making people sit down and think about themselves.
Exactly. It's
And
like
take stock. So where am I?
yes.
What can I do? What can I not do? What do I need to improve? So it's that kind of thing, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Where you are today and where would you like to be tomorrow? And this
Yeah.
is a great mind stretcher, because
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, people come with an idea and they go out with a different idea.
Yes,
So
yes, yeah.
It's an exploration, you know,
Yes.
and most of the time it's fun. Sometimes, you know, because what we do as an employability coach, for example, of course, my job is to help people find a job
Yes.
or get back into education, but also because we understand that there are some roadblocks towards employment that are not necessarily related to careers. So, for example, some people can, maybe they need counseling support, maybe they need support for housing, maybe they suffer from addictions. So, from part of our job, because we are not specialists in these areas, we signpost them to specialist organizations, and we create bridges with these organizations. So we partner with some of them, so we can signpost our participants very easily. And they can start, let's say, a journey with these organizations to sort out these problems while still working with us.
Yes.
So it's not that they have to choose between us or them.
Absolutely.
They can do them both.
Absolutely. So you're really sort of, you're working in a really holistic way, aren't you,
Exactly.
with the person.
Yes.
So because, as you say, the barriers to employment is not just your education or just your skills, it could be many other personal things.
Exactly.
So that is very interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
good.
So what we offer in terms of interventions, for example, with our participants, they can expect first of all, one-to-one meetings, and the approach is very tailored. So the participant is the center of everything. We follow their agenda, not our agenda. So that's the reason why it's very important for us to understand what the person wants.
Yeah.
And started from their goals, we help them build an action plan to help them reach these goals, actually. So they will have one-to-one meetings with us. At the moment, of course, these meetings are virtual because we are still in this limbo. But at some point, these meetings will be face-to-face.
Let's hope very soon.
Hopefully very soon, yeah. Then we also deal with group workshops. We organize workshops on CV writing, for example, on confidence building, on job search, on social media, and the participants can choose to join the workshops. Then, of course, we have employer-led interventions, so they can ask, for example, to be part of mock interviews. They can receive more information about apprenticeships, traineeships. We can discover new programs together. And the interesting thing is that they will have constant contact with their coach, and The outcome star, which is something we do at the beginning, it's something we will redo during the process. So
To see the progress.
exactly,
Yeah.
and also for the participant to understand, wow, I'm starting from 3 and now I'm 8.
Yeah.
So that's so
it's
motivating.
positive.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's part of the growth of their growth.
Yeah.
So we review the start after a couple of months to see where they are, and then at the completion of the program.
Fantastic. At this stage, Fabian, I'm just going to ask Ola. Ola, do we have comments? Do we have questions?
There was a question, but she already answered it. Well, I'm just going to ask again. So the question was, so say someone decided they wanted to do a particular thing, say maybe they wanted to go into IT.
Yeah.
And do they stick to that throughout the process, or do you help them figure out what would be best for them instead? Maybe they're not completely suitable for IT or maybe something else
Yeah.
close to that line.
So what we would do, we would help them explore if IT is really what they want, because sometimes maybe a person has an idea of what IT is,
Yes.
but then the practicalities might be different.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
can give them information, and they can try and understand better. Is actually this the right route for me, or I would like to do different things? So yes.
And on the other side, Fabiana, do you have people come who say, I really don't know what to do? Yes.
Definitely.
So
Yes, definitely. So what we do, we help them explore, starting, for example, from sometimes, even small passions or some interests that maybe can appear very silly. They can be transformed into a career, into the job of your life. So we start from the small detail to create the bigger picture.
Yeah, and we also can do skills analysis. That's another thing that we do quite
Yes.
a lot. Is we have some tools where we can look at skills already
Yeah.
that participant has, and that kind of churns out some potential
Yes.
or appropriate
Yeah.
career paths.
Yeah.
I think that certainly myself, when I was diagnosed, I'm registered blind. It's like, because nobody around me was blind, like my parents, my brother, my family, even friends or GPs, I didn't know anybody else was blind. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So even if there were things I might have liked, I dismissed them because, a blind person can't do that, blind person can't do that.
Yeah.
So in the end, if I would have come to your program, I would have said, well, I'm blind, I can't do much.
Yeah.
But that's because in my mind, I haven't got any role models or any examples, so I don't
Exactly.
really believe in myself.
Yeah.
So do you have people that sort of come with that kind of attitude?
Yeah. Actually, the majority of our participants need some self-esteem boosting, let's say, or
Yeah.
some encouragement to improve their confidence. So what we usually do, we have a tailored workshop, for example, for confidence building.
Yeah.
If we understand that maybe the participant needs some further support, we signpost them if they require it to counseling services.
Yeah.
But also we have one-to-one interventions to boost their motivation, and most of the time it's just a matter of reframing your way of thinking, you know,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
everything starts from there.
Yeah.
There is always sun after the clouds.
I love that phrase, reframing their way of thinking.
Yeah.
I will steal it from you, Fabiana. I will definitely use it.
Right.
It's a really good one. Another thing I wanted to kind of ask is, now with we've had a bit of an economic crisis and the pandemic. So how did you find, and Rita as well maybe, how did you find it's affected the kind of the work market? Because I found myself, in March last year, I'm over 50, I'm a woman, I'm disabled, there's this pandemic, I'm from Europe with Brexit, and I felt everything was against me, so to speak, So how you kind of, how
Yeah, I mean, I'll go. I mean, our programme actually launched at the end of October last year, so we have only been in this work in the middle of the pandemic, and I, like you, over 50, Mediterranean. I was made redundant twice in the pandemic, 1 and 2, and then very fortunately secured this role. The job market has been affected. No one can deny
Yeah,
that, and definitely certain industries much more so than others, and whether they recover, so for example hospitality, retail, those ones, whether they ever recover, we don't know at the moment. You know,
No.
we really need to see the roadmap out of this situation. However, what I would say is very encouraging. Yes, a lot of people have lost their jobs, a lot of people are newly on the job market that maybe have not been and were not expecting to be, but there is employment out there.
Yeah.
And the government is investing a lot in creating opportunities. So certainly for apprenticeships, you know, the Kickstart programme,
Yeah.
there's a few other new things that I've been, you know, because I'm in this world now,
Yeah,
I hear
yeah.
about them,
Yeah,
that are
good.
going to be coming, you know,
Oh,
Innovate and
fantastic.
things like this. So there are opportunities out there. I think in terms of if you are looking for a career, looking for a job, you just have to be open to really exploring and really looking at the transferable skills that you have, or maybe considering doing an apprenticeship. You know, apprenticeships are not now just for
The 16
young,
years
the
old,
16
yeah,
to 18
yeah,
year olds. You know,
yeah.
we have people that are in their 40s and 50s going into apprenticeships.
And I think that's something very new. That's something that would not, people would not think about it.
Yeah.
That apprenticeship is, you know, if you're in your 50s, you know, because traditionally it's not.
Yeah.
So that is really interesting. Thank you, Rita.
No,
That's
that's
a
okay.
really nice outlook, and it's hopeful. I think what I kind of try and say to people is, don't waste your time. You know, learn more things, build your skills. You know, you won't get your dream job immediately, and you have to try out little things. You
And
have
there's
to.
so much free training around at the moment as well. This is another thing that the government are funding a lot, are lots of vocational training courses, lots of academic training courses, and that's something actually I know, Fabiana, you quite often are speaking to your participants, aren't you, about the different courses that they can do while they're looking for work.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, and just to you know, with Fabiana's help, get your CV ready and your cover letter ready, and
So you're kind of doing the two
yeah,
in
and trying to
parallel, yeah.
be prepared for interviews and do that practice. You're just uplifting your skills and uplifting your knowledge.
Yeah, one thing I would add, for example, as Rita very rightly said, because the job market is a bit challenging at the moment, it's very important that you keep your mind open and also you brainstorm your ideas. It's very important to have a, how can I say, backup plan.
Yeah.
Because if the option A doesn't work, we have something ready that might work in the short term.
The plan B.
Exactly, the famous plan B. It's so
Yes.
important, because I understand when you're passionate about something, you say, no, I want to do that. Fine, but maybe that in this moment is not available. So
Yeah.
if the most important thing for you is to earn money or to get back into work, you
Go
go
for
for
that
the plan
first.
B. Maybe
Yeah.
the plan B is available now, and then you can look for your plan A later on when, you know, everything has got its vaccine and everybody can,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
can serenely go back to normal. So it's very important to be creative and to be open-minded in this moment.
And Fabiana, would you say that if you have a job, it's actually easier to get another job? Is that true, you think? Or not
No,
really?
I wouldn't agree
I
with that.
would, no,
I just don't
wouldn't say-
know. It's a thing you hear people say. Well,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. I
Okay.
think that the most important thing is really your attitude and you know, when employers speak to people, they really want to see that you are motivated to work for them. You have to give them a strong reason why you want to take that role for that specific company. Your companies are a bit narcissistic, you know. They want to hear from
how good they are.
Yeah.
How wonderful
they
are.
want to hear from candidates, you know, that they love them. They want to
Yes.
work for them, and that's understandable, you know, because
Yeah.
they want people who are driven
Yeah.
towards them, and they have also to be culturally matching with the company. So
Aha.
always, it's something I always advise to my participants, you know, research the company, understand their values, and even in a cover letter, maybe you can mention your values to match the values of the company. This will definitely something that the employer will
Is looking
like.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fantastic. And again, we're going to ask Ola again. Ola, do we have comments? Do we
So
have
in line
questions?
with the first question that was asked about if someone was going to stay in a role, The question, another question is, so depending on what the person has decided to do, is there like a curriculum based on each path, or is just generally a curriculum for everyone?
It's tailored. It really depends on the
Okay, so
individual.
everyone's, what you're doing with everyone is different.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is centred around supporting them into employment, but we don't have a kind of curriculum that's set.
No.
It would be very much dependent on what that person needs.
There's another one. Someone wants to know what the organisation is called. I'm assuming they came in late. And also, he says he's due to become redundant at work. Is there anything available for running his own business?
And so like self-employed people,
Yeah.
people running their own business. Oh, it's true. We didn't touch on that. So
Yeah.
Maybe I can answer.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
please
So
do. Yes.
another thing we can do is to help people become self-employed.
Mhm.
However, I'm not sure if someone is already self-employed, if we can, if they are already running a business, if we can support them with
Yeah,
that.
so just in terms of our programme, you would need to be unemployed. And I think he said he was being made redundant. So once, so once he's been made redundant and he's no longer working, he could definitely come to us for support to help him manage that transition into becoming self-employed, and we can give him some guidance and support around that.
So what we have is that we have a number of our members here, Croydon Vision, who are on the Educational Development Trust.
There are.
So if you want to join on the program, if what you've heard is you find interesting and you'd like to, do come to Croydon Vision. We'll put you in touch with Fabiana, and we'll support you as well. So what we have here at Croydon Vision, so we have a few members that they may be at home, you might not have the right computer, and so you can come here to Croydon Vision, use our laptops and our computers to take part in any Zoom sort of, or upskill yourself. We had a lady who wanted to know how to host a Zoom meeting, so she came here and now she talked with Catherine, and she's learning how to do that. She felt that in her search for employment, it would be a really good skill to have.
Yeah.
And so yes, so do get in contact with Croydon Vision, and we'll put you on the program. And your program, you don't really have a date. It's a rolling program, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it's a rolling programme. We find that most people that come on programme tend to be with us for around 4 months. That's
Yeah.
kind of the time.
And you can join at any time.
You can join at any time. You can
Yeah.
not, if you don't want to be with us for 4 months, you don't have to be. If you need a bit longer with us, that's absolutely fine
That is
as well.
fantastic. That is amazing. And in London, are you just in Croydon?
We are, for this particular
Yeah.
programme, we
Yeah.
are in Croydon and then in that corridor down to Brighton. So,
If
if you did live,
as well.
if you did live in
Is it Bromley or
not Bromley, no, so it
Surrey?
would be more that kind of West Sussex and a bit of so Red Hill, Epsom,
Okay. Red Hill, yeah.
Crawley,
Yeah,
Brighton,
okay,
New
yeah.
Haven, Chichester. We kind of cover that corridor.
So you go
there.
down the railway line.
Down the railway.
Yes.
It's officially known as the Coast to Capital area.
Right,
So
I didn't
it's
hear
kind
that.
of like an
Okay.
area like that for the
Yes.
South Sussexy bit.
Okay.
However, if you're not living in that kind of geographical area and you do want some help, please just get in touch, because I'm generally connected with a similar type of support offer, so I can
Okay.
generally,
Signpost people.
signpost
Yeah,
How
yeah,
would they
yeah.
get in contact? And you haven't sent
So
the
Croydon Vision
organisation?
and all, yeah.
yeah.
So the name is Educational.
So it's Education Development Trust. And I don't know if you've got a chat, you can put my email
That's
in
what
there.
I'm doing.
Yeah, so my email is rfuser, which is RFIUZA,
RFIUZA.
RFIUZA at educationdevelopmenttrust.com. Sorry, so I've got a very long end.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Educational Development Trust.com.
But I think most of you have got Odette's details, so
Croydon Vision.
or
Yeah.
Croydon Vision, just get in touch and your details can be passed on to us, and we'll pick up the phone and give you a
Yeah.
call.
And you know what, it's really fantastic because it's true that when you are visually impaired and probably in other circumstances, but particularly you really feel like you need a lot of help. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed by I have no chance against somebody who can see. You feel kind of that, you know, all the odds are against you, so to speak. So to have you support us is fantastic. It's amazing.
We're really enjoying
And
the
thank
journey.
you so much.
Yeah.
We're really,
Absolutely.
really enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
We are growing ourselves, you know, because it's not just the participants, it's us growing with them. So
You learn
Like-
from people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
people
every
learn from
day,
you
every
and,
single day, yeah.
Yes, yes. So well, do we have any more
No,
questions?
that's
or
about
now?
it for now.
And do you, as well as supporting our members who are blind and visually impaired, do you support people with other disabilities? And
Yes. Not only people with disabilities, you know, we support people who, for example, have been out of work for a while, people who maybe suffer from other issues, you know, and people who are single parents, and we really work with anybody needing help.
and would you kind of know roughly how many people that you support in Croydon? What's the kind of, just roughly?
Oh gosh, I think I couldn't give you the number off the top of my head. You know, the thing I would say is we don't work with huge numbers.
Well,
Because the
otherwise
whole-
you wouldn't
yeah.
be able to
Yeah, we wouldn't be
support
able
it.
to.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
in my team in Croydon, I have 5 employment coaches,
Right.
and if I can tell you the maximum capacity that they are
Yeah.
allowed to have is 45.
Right, so they have
So
a caseload
Their
of
case,
45.
the maximum caseload that they are allowed to have is 45, and the reason for that is because the whole point of our programme is that you get that really tailored, intensive,
absolutely.
one-to-one
No,
support.
that makes
And
sense.
I don't want Fabiana to collapse from exhaustion.
and Fabiana, as a job, if you want, if somebody wanted to become a work coach, for example, what studies did you do, for example? What would you say? I don't know, the skills that somebody would need to do.
Yeah, so
or-
what I personally did, I started working as a life coach last year.
Right. Yeah.
So on my own, let's say.
So you were self-employed?
Well, because I was furloughed last year, you know, I decided to just take loads of qualifications, and I started doing it pro bono, so without really being paid, because I was on furlough at the same time.
Yeah.
And then at some point I was thinking to start my own business, which is something I'm still working on.
Yeah.
I'm started my website, but I'm not really there yet. So for now I'm just focusing on this, and I think that the most important thing, you know, is to be really people driven, and understanding that other people's needs are more important than your ego. When you do,
Okay,
that's
it's
very important.
interesting.
You know, that's a very important point, because it's not about the coach; it's about the participant. So I think that that's the strongest message I can send out.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
well,
you.
anything you wanted to add, or?
No, just thank
No?
you very much for having us. It's been a really pleasurable experience, and
Yes.
I hope that you guys watching have found it interesting, and you've got the information that you need.
And if you have any other questions that you think about in the middle of the night, just contact us, and we'll pass them on, and we
Absolutely.
can answer
Yeah.
any questions that you may have. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
And next week, don't forget to come and join us for Shalini's amazing fish curry, and we will be talking about Mauritius and where Shalini comes from and her culture while we're waiting for the curry to cook. And Ola, I think you'll be probably tasting the curry next week. So we envy you,
I'm ready, so.
And so bye bye